Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Last week, Jacqueline and Mandy managed to scrape together 7 experience while being trapped in the woods outside Arkham and stumbling on a coven of witches. We upgraded their decks earlier this week with that experience, so now it's time to find out what happens at Death's Doorstep. And first up, we need to set the scene.
Scenario 2. At Death's Doorstep. 4 missing, whereabouts unknown. Residents of French Hill are still in a tizzy after the sudden disappearance of several guests and house staff from the home of Mr. Joseph Meiger during the night of the annual Silver Twilight Charity Gala last Sunday. We are absolutely baffled as to how this could have happened, said Mr. Meiger the day after the disappearances. That said, we are confident that Sheriff Engel and the Arkham Police will do their due diligence in finding the missing persons. There is still no evidence whatsoever as to the whereabouts of Miss Gabriella Mason, Mr. Jerome Davis, Mr. Valentino Rivas, and Mrs. Penny White, all of whom vanished halfway through the event and have not been seen since. The police are offering a substantial reward for any person or persons who come forward with information related to these disappearances. When asked whether the police were considering the case a homicide, Sheriff Engel had this to say: "There's no reason to suspect foul play is involved just yet. However, given the circumstances, we have to consider every possibility. No other attendees have come forward with statements concerning the gala, which seemed to finish without a hitch despite the disappearances. So far, none of the prominent members of the Silver Twilight Lodge have expressed any concern about the lodge's upcoming benefit dinner, which was recently moved to the same location, Joseph Meiger's estate in French Hill. I am certain that this event will be a smashing success," Mr. Meiger told the Arkham Advertiser in an interview yesterday. "There's no reason for the fair residents of Arkham to worry." Minnie Klein. You fold up the newspaper and shove it aside on your desk, examining the other files you've collected over the last few days concerning the missing persons. It has been several days since your experience in the woods. You have tried to put it all out of your mind, but it is impossible. Every night you dream of a nameless place in the void of space, a faint discordant melody of hypnotizing flutes pulling you forward. Now there are others disappearing from the town without a trace. The disappearances dance along the edges of your thoughts. No reason to worry, you ponder, turning the man's words over in your head. You think of the card reader and her warning, and you wonder if you are simply imagining devils where there are none. Nonetheless, there is only one way to know for sure. You pick up the invitation, examining the silver embossed stationery and perfect calligraphy. The Silver Twilight Lodge requests the pleasure of your company on the evening of November the 29th at 8 o'clock at the estate of Joseph Eckhard Meiger, Esquire, for the benefit of the Fairchild Foundation. As you prepare for the night ahead, you cannot help but wonder, are you taking action to remedy your fate, as the soothsayer advised, or are you walking willingly into the jaws of a grim destiny? Proceed to set up.
We'll find out the answer to that question over the course of the scenario, but let's continue setting the scene by reminding everyone of what our tarot reading was. So on the good side, we left the Lover's 6. When the game begins, each investigator searches their deck for an ally asset, adds it to their hand, and shuffles their deck. We'll do that when we look at each of our ladies' starting hands. On the bad side, however, we left the Star 17. So after an investigator reveals a tentacle token during a skill test, they must either take 1 damage or 1 horror. Hopefully we won't have to worry about too many tentacles today, but it's not direct damage or horror, so we can assign it to allies if we need to. And we get another silver lining here as well. And I do want to provide clarifications on both of the tarot cards because each of our investigators potentially interact with one of them. So Jacqueline's special ability lets her cancel either 2 non-tentacle tokens or the tentacle. So if I cancel the tentacle token, the Star 17 won't trigger for her. Similarly, for Mandy, when we go to search her deck with the Lover's 6, we will get an ally and not her shocking discovery because the game is considered to not have started yet. But anyway, just wanted to clarify both of those. And I'll mention Jacqueline's interaction with the Star 17 again when it pops up. But anyway, next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our starting act and agenda deck. So first, for the agenda. Justice 11. Be true to yourself, and seek the truth in others. You must balance the scales. You shall be called to account for your actions. Silver Twilight enemies cannot be damaged or defeated. Forced, when you draw a monster enemy, instead of spawning it, set it aside out of play and place one doom on this agenda. This effect can cause the agenda to advance, so we do have the Ancient Evils clause in play that we need to be careful of. And then taking a look at our first act, hidden agendas. As you approach the patio of the Miger estate, a man in an elegant suit checks your invitation at the door. Inside, guests mingle and chat with one another, but much of the conversation is awkward and terse. A silent tension has gripped the manor, and you are not sure why. Objective: find information about the disappearances by discovering as many clues as you can. Do not advance until you are instructed. Hint: it may be worthwhile to investigate the last known locations of the missing persons. We'll keep that in mind as well, and we'll take a little bit of a closer look at that when we move over to the map. But anyway, now we'll go ahead and look at our starting hands, including searching for our allies from the Lovers 6. So Jacqueline actually starts off with another card in play. She'll once again start off with the Four of Cups, Chalice of the Heart in play. +1 will, and when the game begins, if Four of Cups is in your opening hand, put it into play. So we do get that right away. Then we find her signature asset, Arbiter of Fates. 3 cost to play. Will, Agility, Wildcard on commit. When we use Jacqueline's reaction ability, Exhaust Arbiter of Fates, this use of her ability doesn't count toward the limit. Next up, we have Prophetic, another 3 cost to play, 2 will on commit. Uses 2 resources. Replenish these resources at the start of each round. Resources on Prophetic may be spent to pay for Fortune, Spell, or Spirit cards. As a fast action, during a skill test on same, spend 1 resource from Prophetic. You get +1 skill value for this test. Then we have Word of Command. 2 cost to play, it's a spell. Name a spell card. Search your deck for 1 copy of the named card and draw it. Shuffle your deck. Finally, we have the Crystal Pendulum. 2 cost to play, will on commit. You get +1 will, and after a skill test at your location begins, exhaust Crystal Pendulum to name a number. If the skill test succeeds or fails by that number, draw 1 card. So now for the ally that Jacqueline gets to go get, I have to kind of guess a little bit on what do I think I need Word of Command to go find. So if I think I need to go find something with charges right away, then I probably want to go grab Twila. If I want to grab Spell, if I don't think I'm going to be grabbing a charge right away, then I should probably go find an Arcane Initiate. I think I probably am going to need something with charges right away, so I am going to go into Jacqueline's deck. Where are you? Ah, there you are. So we'll give this a shuffle. And a cut. And we will introduce the ally that I went and found with Jacqueline. So Jacqueline indeed fished out... Let me zoom this out just a touch. Twila Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, Lore Agility on commit. Reaction: after you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twila Catherine Price. Place 1 charge on that asset. I'll be shortcutting that as exhausting Twila to not spend the charge. Anyway, unlike with Jacqueline, there won't be any guesswork on who Mandy's finding, but I'll talk about that more in a second. So we'll start off with 2 copies of Magnifying Glass. Fast, you get +1 lore while investigating. So we have both of those to start with. Then we have an Encyclopedia, which is a 2 cost to play, wildcard on commit. Uses 5 secrets. As an action, I can exhaust Encyclopedia and spend 1 secret. Choose an investigator at your location. Gets +2 to a skill value of your choice until the end of the phase. Then we have Dream Diary Untranslated. 2 costs to play, will on commit. As an action, search your bonded cards for Essence of the Dream and add it to your hand. Takes up a hand slot. Reaction. After you succeed by 3 or more during a skill test to which Essence of the Dream is committed, record in your campaign log that you have interpreted the dreams. And we have Janae Beauregard for 5 resources to play. Lore and Agility on commit. You get +1 of the aforementioned stats. During your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust Janae Beauregard. Move a clue or a non-elite enemy from a connecting location to your location, or vice versa. Now, the ally Mandy is going to find, and I don't think we'll need any bonus points for guessing who I'm finding. To the shock of probably no one, I am going to fish out Dr. Milan Christopher. Professor of Entomology. 4 costs to play, lore on commit. You get +1 lore, and after you successfully investigate, gain 1 resource. 1 health, 2 sanity on soak. Anyway, last up, Mandy and Jacqueline will move over to the map, so we'll move with them. Here's our starting map for the scenario. I'll go through each location individually as we come to it, but as part of setup, our locations that have clues on them were the office and the balcony. The office because we used Jerome, the balcony because we used Penny in skipping the prelude. So we left 8 pieces of evidence behind. They started with 6 clues apiece on them, and setup instructed us as evenly as possible to remove clues from the locations, so each location has 2 clues left on it. But anyway, we'll take a look at our starting location, the entry hall. Clearly, whatever business Joseph Meiger has his hands in, it's doing well. A soft red carpet guides you deeper into the opulent hall, flanked by small statues of marble and ivory. Above, a glimmering chandelier casts a brilliant shine along the polished floor and wooden stairs. This flips over into Shroud of 3, no clues. As an action, resign. I guess there's nothing to those disappearances after all. Most of the manor is off limits to guests who are not members of the Silver Twilight Lodge, but your investigation takes priority, so you wait for the right time to sneak away. And then waiting for us in the entry hall, we have a new return exclusive enemy, Senator Nathaniel Rhodes, adept politician. 1-2-1, humanoid cultist Silver Twilight, aloof. As an action, Parley. Parley test Will 2 to speak with a senator. If you succeed, either take control of one of his clues or flip 1 doom on him to its clue side. If you fail, flip 1 of his clues to its doom side. Changes what the people demand, and changes what I aim to give them. 1 horror on attack. So looking at that Parley test, Jacqueline's already up 4 on that. So I think that's probably going to be her first turn. As for Mandy, I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but we can go ahead and get into the investigation phase, and we'll stay right here with Jacqueline. The question here right off the bat is how sure do I want to make myself on getting those clues off of Senator Rhodes? Because remember, I'm base up 4, and looking at the bag, which I normally don't on camera, the only thing that scares me is the tentacle, which would also give me an additional damage or horror. I think for action 1, we'll go ahead and make the Parley test up 4. A skull. is -1, -3 instead if your location is haunted. Even if our location was haunted, we would have passed that test anyway. So Jacqueline gets one of the clues. Action 2, she'll run the parlay back. Still up 4. And I think here I will use her special ability, just because I want to make sure to get that clue off of the center of the road. One, two, three. Okay. First up, we will find a -1, which we can deal with rather easily. Second token is the tentacle, which is probably Snap getting canceled. And skull, which we saw earlier, was -1. So we will cancel the tentacle, which, because we're canceling the tentacle, we're essentially treating it as it has never been revealed for the test. So canceling the tentacle brings us down to gives us -2 in tokens, which we were still up 4, so Jacqueline gets the clue. And then for action 3, what are we going to do for action 3? Let's go pay a visit. Actually, let's get moving up toward the balcony. Do I want to get moving toward the missing people, or do I want to leave that to Mandy? I think for action 3, I will send Jacqueline down to the wine cellar. So we'll take a look here. A long, darkened stairway leads down into Joseph Meiger's cellar. If you're careful, maybe you can take a gander at what he keeps down there. And this reveals into Shroud of 5, 2 clues. You search, as an action, you disturb the tranquility of this quiet place in search of evidence. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a monster enemy is discarded. Set that enemy aside out of play. Then gain 2 clues from the token pool. Group limit once per game. Yeah, that does not seem like an action that I really want to be doing here, but anyway, we can keep that in mind for later. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy, we're going to tilt the camera just slightly because she is going to get moving toward one of our missing people locations. So, Mandy will move up to the Victorian Halls first. We'll take a look at what we've got here. Even the hallways of this manor are luxurious, decorated with thick rugs, bizarre artwork, and uncanny statues shaped from scrap metal. Rays of sunlight shine through the curtains as the sun sets over Arkham outside. And this reveals into Shroud of 4, no clues. As an action, you go looking for trouble. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a silver twilight enemy is discarded. Spawn that enemy in the Victorian Halls, then gain 2 clues from the token pool. Group limit once per round. We'll move Mandy, then for action 2, we'll go ahead and move Mandy up to the office. And we've got some pretty key unrevealed text on here. Each silver twilight enemy in the office loses aloof. Atop a steep staircase leading to the manor's 3rd floor, far from the hustle and bustle of the party below, a solitary oak door stands sentry, guarding Mr. Meiger's closest secrets. This will reveal into Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Each silver twilight enemy in the office loses aloof. Forced. If you reveal a bad symbol while investigating the office, place 1 doom on the nearest silver twilight enemy. Joseph's office is as much a display of his wealth and power as it is a workplace. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And then I almost forgot, we will exhaust ancestral knowledge to draw a skill from Mandy, so Mandy will draw Opportunist. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. If you succeed by 3 or more, return Occultist or Opportunist to your hand after this test instead of discarding it. Okay, and for action 3, I think we will spend 4 resources as it drops on the floor to play our friend Dr. Milan Christopher. So once again, We get +1 lore, and after we successfully investigate, gain 1 resource. While I truly pray that this nightmare is just a singular abomination, I must admit that I am exhilarated by the possibility that this is but one specimen of a new genus, and it takes up his ally slot. So anyway, we'll do this instead. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, first turn of the game, and there are no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and re-ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep Phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 6. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Jacqueline will draw. Read the signs. 2 cost to play. Will and lore on commit. Investigate plus will. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location which would trigger during this investigation. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at your location. Mandy draws. Burning the Midnight Oil. 0 cost to play, lore and agility on commit. Investigate. When this action begins, gain 2 resources. Okay, Mythos Phase. First doom on the agenda. I'll bring the encounter deck over here. Jacqueline will draw. Dmitry Konstantinov, taking the long view. 432, humanoid cultist Silver Twilight. Spawn the location with no other Silver Twilight cultist enemies from you. Forced, after Dmitry Konstantinov enters play, place 2 doom on him. After you evade Dmitry Konstantinov, for every 2 points you succeeded by, remove a doom from him. Do you understand who you're meddling with? So Jacqueline will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could put him in either the balcony or the billiards room. And I think we're going to put him in the balcony since we're going there anyway. Mandy draws. Oop. And he does enter play with 2 doom on him. Mandy draws. Mysteries of the Lodge. Revelation, place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Then, until the end of the round, increase the difficulty to fight, evade, or parley with that enemy by 2. If no doom is placed by this effect, Mysteries of the Lodge gains Surge. So we'll place that doom on Senator Rhodes, and the difficulty to parley with him is a 4. Jacqueline is still up 2, which I think she probably will have to do. And we're into the investigation phase. Before we leave the Mythos phase, Mandy will draw another skill from Ancestral Knowledge. So she will draw. Deduction. This is nice. Alright, 2 lore on commit, and if you succeed while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. So, I think on that note, Jacqueline will go first, and she'll have to go parley with Senator Rhodes. Action 1, Jacqueline will move back out to the entry hall because I don't really want to try to get the clues off of there right now. Action 2, actually I probably could, I would have a decent shot of getting the clues off of there naturally, so I think we'll stay there instead for Action 1, and for 2 resources, I'll play Read the Signs. So we're investigating plus will, which means we're at a 9 to 5, so we're up 4. Do I want to? I think we're fine. We'll go ahead and investigate up 4, trying to get those 2 clues. A 0 gets her both clues, so very nicely done there, Jacqueline. Action 2 will move back over to the entry hall for Action 2. Action 3, I will parley again with Senator Rhodes, and this time I'm going to use Jacqueline's ability so I have a better shot of getting that doom off of him. So we're up So we're up 2. One, two, three. Okay. So first token up, we find a well-loved -1. Second token up, another -1, and Elder Sign. Let's take a look at Jacqueline's Elder Sign, but I'm pretty sure, remembering what this is, I'm pretty sure I'm canceling it. +1, if this effect is canceled or ignored, draw 1 card. So we're going to cancel one of our -1s and the Elder Sign, which gets the clue back to being a doom, or the other way, doom back to being a clue. And then because I canceled the Elder Sign, Jacqueline gets to draw a card, so she draws the Chthonian Stone. Ooh. 2 cost to play, lore and will on commit. Seal a bad symbol except the tentacle. Uses 3 charges, and if it has no charges, return it to your hand. Forced, after you reveal a tentacle symbol during a skill test, remove 1 charge from the Chthonian Stone. But anyway, we at least got the clue, we at least got the Duma off of Rhodes back to a clue, so that'll do it for Jacqueline. Once again, we'll tip the camera up to get to Mandy, who is going to be investigating this round, so she's going to commit... Actually, she's going to initiate her first investigation by burning the Midnight Oil. So when this begins, she gains 2 resources. And then I'm going to commit... I'm going to commit her Deduction and her Opportunist. So this gives it back to me if I succeed by 3 or more. Deduction gives me an additional clue if I succeed. 2 additional clues instead if I succeed by 2 or more. So that's a Shroud of 4. I'm at 6, 7, 8, 9, so I'm up 5. A 0 gets her 3 clues. Very nicely done, Mandy. Which also gets her another resource to bring her up to 5. An Opportunist comes back to her hand because we succeeded by 3. Say that 5 times fast. And I think we'll go ahead and run that back. So this time we're only up... Actually, I'll commit the magnifying glasses to the test because I probably don't need those. 6, 7, 8, which will put me up 4. Tentacle Touched, which puts a doom on Senator Rhodes. And it fails, so she actually does take a horror, which I'll put on Milan. That was unfortunate. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Senator Rhodes is aloof, and Konstantinov is not a hunter. So, that means we can re-ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep Phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 5, if I can ever find the resource there. Mandy will gain 1 and go to 6. Jacqueline will draw Hypnotic Gaze. 3 cost to play, will and agility on commit. Fast, play when an enemy attacks an investigator at your location. Cancel the attack, then reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If it's a bad symbol, deal the attacking enemy's damage to itself. Mandy draws Hawkeye folding camera, 2 cost to play, lore on commit. After this last clue is discovered from your location, place 1 resource from the token pool on this card as evidence. Limit once per game at each location. While Hawkeye folding camera has 1 or more evidence plus 1 will, 2 or more evidence plus 1 lore, 3 or more evidence plus 1 sanity. Mythos Phase, we go up to 2 doom on the agenda, 5 in play. Jacqueline draws. A Screeching Banshee. Okay, this is a monster, so this will get put aside. And we added doom to the agenda, so that brings us up to 6 because it is a monster. I'll talk more about that when those come back out. Mandy draws. Bloodthirsty Spirits. Place it into play in your threat area. While your location is haunted, as an additional cost for you to commit 1 or more cards to a skill test, you must resolve each haunted ability on your location. Forced, at the end of your turn, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Bloodthirsty Spirits. Oh joy. Okay, so back to the enemy, back to the investigation phase. We're at 6 doom right now. Another couple of monsters just advances us into the next agenda. Or into the next agenda. So I think we'll start off with Jacqueline, and we'll start off at the map. In the open player window before the investigation phase, right after the investigation phase begins, Mandy will exhaust ancestral knowledge to get another skill. So she will draw. Surprising Find. I really would rather have this come out of the deck. Question mark on commit, Myriad. When you search your deck and Surprising Find is among the searched cards, put it into play in your play area. You must commit it to the next eligible skill test you perform. If that test is successful, draw 1 card. Max 1 research ability per search. And okay, I don't think I committed Opportunist again to Mandy, but anyway, that's not relevant to what I'm doing right now. For action 1, Jacqueline is going to parlay with Senator Rhodes now that the Mysteries of the Lodge is no longer a card that we have to deal with. We're back to being up 4. Elder Thing, which is -2. If there's a spectral enemy at your location, take 1 damage. There is not, so we don't take any damage. Doom comes off, and we get the clue up. So we're out of the immediate woods for the time being. Action 2, Jacqueline will move up to the Victorian Halls. Then action 3, what is she doing for action 3? Is it time to start getting things ready? I think for action 3, we're going to spend 2 resources and play... what do I want to play for those 2 resources for action 3? I think we're going to go ahead and play Word of Command here, because I think I know what spell I need now. And I think I need to go get... go get a Shriveling. So we'll go ahead and find that. Give this a shuffle. And a cut. And I'll flash it in front of the camera just to show that I did go get a copy of Shriveling. I'll talk more about it when I actually go to play it, but that will do it for Jacqueline. Once again, a little bit of a glare, but we can tip the camera up. Actually, the glare's on Jacqueline, it looks like. But we can tip the camera up and get Mandy in shot. So for action 1, we are going to try to get that clue off the location. So I'm going to commit So right now I'm at 6. I'll go 7, 8, and I'll go up 4 with Surprising Find and Opportunist. We reveal the Elder thing, which, as we saw earlier, is a -2. If there's a spectral enemy at your location, take a damage, which also puts the Doom right back on Senator Road, so much for Jacqueline's effort to get it off. We do get the clue, though, but we're right back to being in danger. So we don't get Opportunist back to our hand. Action 2 will bring Mandy down to the Victorian Hall to meet up with Jacqueline. Action 3 will send her toward the master bedroom. This unmarked door is large and well-polished, set in a corner of the upstairs hallway out of view of guests and other prying eyes. We find Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Forced, when the round ends, if there's at least one investigator in the master bedroom, place 1 Doom on the nearest Silver Twilight enemy. Oh, fantastic. No doubt about it, this must be Joseph Meiger's bedroom. The centerpiece of the room is a massive canopy bed, but the posts of which are ornately carved. You see no sign of a Mrs. Meiger. So we do get a resource from passing Jacqueline or Mandy's investigate. We get 2 clues. And that's okay, so investigate, move, move. That was it for Mandy. So at the end of her turn, she's got to test Will 3. If she succeeds, she discards Bloodthirsty Spirits. So she's at even right now, and that's where she'll test. A +1 actually discards Bloodthirsty Spirits, so we won't have to worry about that. Anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase now. Enemy phase, neither of our enemies move. So we'll start resetting everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains a resource, goes up to 4. Mandy gains a resource and goes to 7. Jacqueline draws. Clairvoyance level 3. Nice. Uses 3 charges, 4 cost to play, lore and will on commit. Action, spend a charge to investigate. Using will instead of lore. +2 will and discover 1 additional clue at this location. If you reveal a good symbol during the investigation, take 1 horror. Mandy draws. Your worst nightmare. Oh, fantastic. Alright, so prey. So it's a hunter. Prey bearer only. The bearer of your worst nightmare can't attack, damage, or defeat it. Fantastic. It's actually a... Wait. When you draw a monster enemy, oh joy. This is actually a big problem because your worst nightmare actually is a monster, annoyingly, and we put a Doom up which can advance the agenda, it won't, but as we move into the Mythos phase, that Doom will cause us to advance. Fantastic. I was hoping to have another setup turn, but yeah, never mind that plan. Okay, so pulled to the shadows, you have uncovered some of the evidence pertaining to the disappearances, but the truth is yet to be unveiled. If the investigators do not possess 3 per investigator clues as a group, they lose all of their clues. If the investigators possess at least 3 per investigator clues as a group, they must spend 3 clues per investigator and spawn the set-aside Joseph Meiger enemy at the location other than the entry hall that is farthest from all investigators. Open the campaign guide and proceed to Interlude 1, a record of those lost. Once this interlude has been resolved, remove all clues from each location in play and advance to Act 1B. Okay, so first up we do have the 3 per investigator clues as a group. So we'll go ahead and spend those. And we'll spawn Joseph Miger. We'll take a look at him first. Oh, he's got story text. Joseph Miger, Lodge Host. 3s across the board, retaliate. Action, if no other Silver Twilight enemy has Doom on it, parlay, testing lore 4 to convince Joseph that this is not your doing. If you fail, he attacks you. If you succeed, flip this card over and resolve its text. Do not rouse the beast you do not comprehend. Victory 2, 1 and 1 on attack. So, I think the location we want him to go to is furthest from us. Could either be the wine cellar or the billiards room, and I think I'm going to put him in the... Other than the entry hall that is furthest from all investigators, I think I'll put him in the wine cellar. I guess he was downstairs looking for wine. Open the campaign guide and proceed to Interlude 1, a record of those lost. So I'm pretty sure I recorded this already, but let me just double check that real quick. Yes, I did. Let's see if there's...
Interlude 1, a record of those lost. Do not read this interlude unless you are instructed to do so.
Which we are.
Check the missing persons section of your campaign log. In order, read the sections below for each of the characters whose profile is not crossed off.
Okay, so once again, Jerome and Penny's profiles were not crossed off, and there are no clues on the office, so we do get Jerome's. I'll probably have to play a couple of these just to find the one I want.
If Jerome Davids' profile is not crossed off and there are no clues on the office, read the following. Joseph Miger's personal office is pretty tidy for somebody whose personal secretary just went missing. Perhaps he's just a fastidious person, or perhaps he's been scrubbing evidence of some wrongdoing. You find nothing of note in any of Joseph's files, but after some perusing, you realize there is one place you haven't checked, the trash. Rooting through the garbage bin yields fruit. Near the bottom is a small pocket journal belonging to Jerome Davids, probably tossed there carelessly by the cleaning staff. You turn to the last page. There, Jerome had recorded a list of names, perhaps transcribed from Joseph's records. You don't know what it means yet, but it must be important. Under Missing Persons, next to Jerome Davids' profile, record the investigators are on Jerome's trail.
Which I already did that in the campaign log. Our only other section is Penny White. Her profile is not crossed off, but there are still clues on the balcony because we didn't get over there to investigate. So now we advance to Act 1B. So let's take a look at this. We'll take a look at both of our act and agendas in one shot. We also remove all clues from each location in play. Okay. Alright, so we're advancing to Act 1B. Death approaches. Before you can investigate further, the building is suddenly plunged into icy darkness. All the lights flicker once and are snuffed out. A thick, otherworldly mist begins to seep into the corridors, causing everything it touches to decay. Move each investigator and each enemy currently in the entry hall to the Victorian Halls. So that means Nathaniel Rhodes moves up to the Victorian Halls. For each location in play, find the set-aside spectral version of that location and swap them. All tokens and cards at the former location are now considered to be at the new location. If there's an investigator at that location, reveal it. In player order, each investigator spawns one of the set-aside monster enemies at his or her location until each of the monster enemies has been spawned. Spawn the set-aside Spectral Watcher enemy in the entry hall. Shuffle the remainder of the set-aside Watcher encounter set and the set-aside Realm of Death encounter set into the encounter deck, along with the encounter discard pile. Now, as part of Return, they actually instructed us to do a couple things around that. So there's actually a replacement set for the Realm of Death. which is actually called Unstable Realm. It's basically a return version. So the Spectral Watcher, we'll take a look at him. He's going to, what did we say, the entry hall. Okay, so taking a quick look at the Spectral Watcher. You are its prey. 3/5/3. Ancient One, Spectral Elite. Alert Hunter. Forced. When the Spectral Watcher is defeated, instead of discarding it, heal all damage from it, disengage it from all investigators, and exhaust it. It does not ready during the Upkeep Phase. There is no escaping fate. 1/1 on attack. Then the card that it needed to do something special with was the Watcher's Grasp. So we'll take a quick look at that. Revelation, heal 3 damage from the Spectral Watcher. Ready the Spectral Watcher. It moves, engages, and attacks over the enemy phase. Throughout the resolution of this effect, the Spectral Watcher gains Prey You. So the clarification here. While resolving the Watcher's Grasp Treachery, the Spectral Watcher does not exhaust after it attacks. Attach this card to the scenario reference card as a reminder. So normally during the enemy phase, the enemies would attack and then exhaust. So in this case, the Spectral Watcher doesn't exhaust when it attacks from that card. So we do need to keep that in mind. Okay. We'll cut that. Then we'll take a look at a new agenda and acts in one shot. Agenda 2A, Over the Threshold. Does this have something to do with the 4 missing persons? And if so, what does that mean for your survival? Each Silver Twilight enemy gains Victory 0 and counts as an investigator for the purpose of determining where Hunter enemies move during the enemy phase. Forced. After the Hunter enemy's move step of the enemy phase, each ready spectral enemy deals its damage to each humanoid enemy at its location. And now we got a spawn, so I'll give the Screeching Banshee 3/1 Hunter. Forced. When you deal 1 or more damage to Screeching Banshee, except from a spell or relic, resolve each haunted ability at its location. 2 damage on attack. And then we have to give Your Worst Nightmare to Mandy. So, we'll place the Spectral cards out. We're going to have to reveal Victorian Halls and the Master Bedroom. We'll come over to the map before we get everything straight there. So, then we do need to look at the new act as well. Act 2A, the Spectral Realm. In the blink of an eye, everything has changed. A sudden, oppressive silence fills the halls of Joseph Meiger's manor. Gone is the din of idle chatter from the banquet hall, the clinking of glasses, the laughter of oblivious guests. Save only for you and several others, all of the people in the house have vanished without a trace. All that is left of the dark is the dark mist, and the beings that inhabit it. And we need 4 per or 8 clues to advance, which we have a head start on because we already have 2. So anyway, let's move over to the map and take a look at our 2 spectral locations that we need to reveal. Jacqueline is at the Victorian Hall, so we get to reveal that location. The warm rays that once illuminated these halls have faded into beams of cold, gray moonlight that shine through floating motes of dust and wisps of dark mist. This reveals into Shroud of 4, no clues. Haunted, lose 1 action. A haunting stillness lingers through the frigid, dead halls. The many paintings that adorn the walls have faded and become unrecognizable, and the metal statuettes flanking the corridors have completely rusted over. And then the master bedroom on top of Mandy. This unmarked door is old and partially rotted, set in a quiet corner of the upstairs hallway. A thick, dark fog seeps beneath the door and walks around your feet. This flips into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Haunted, place one of your clues on master bedroom. Tendrils of black mist have invaded every corner of this room from the open balcony doorway, causing the furniture to decay and collapse. Every piece of wood and glass is shattered and warped. Nothing is untouched. Victory 1. So we get the 2 clues there. And now into the myth. Now I think that's all finally set up, so now we're into the Mythos phase. We already put the Doom up, so Jacqueline draws. The Shadow Hound, Prey, lowest agility. 2/3/1. Hunter Retaliate, forced. After it attacks you, resolve each haunted ability on your location. The spectral mist coalesces into an incorporeal canine form. Hungry eyes shine from the darkness. 1 damage on attack. Oh joy. Mandy draws. Supernatural Instincts. Revelation test agility 5. If you fail, choose and discard cards from your play area and or your hand with a total printed resource cost of at least X, where X is what you failed by. So right now we're down 2. I'll commit the encyclopedia to go down 1. -3. Yeah, right. So we fail by 5. Which means we have to discard. Which unfortunately is going to be Janae Beauregard. I really wanted to play. I can't tell if that's a him or a her, but anyway. So we have to discard that because we failed by 5. That was unfortunate, but nothing we can do about that. So now we're into the action phase. Jacqueline's got 2 enemies that make me wish I had gotten Storm of Spirits, but hindsight, as they say. Anyway. Great. Okay, so yeah, we need to figure out how to deal with this in a hurry. So I think we're going to start off with Jacqueline, I think, and we'll start off in her play area. Okay, so we need to try to give both of these enemies the slip. Fortunately, we're up 1 on both of them. So I'll try to evade the... So I'll use this to... we'll try to evade the Shadow Hound first. So we're up 1. Okay, alert. So no alert. So it won't trigger... it won't attack back. It would retaliate if I fail an attack, but... I'm going to switch it to this side. I've been having a lot better luck over here. Elder Sign, which as we saw earlier is +1. If it's cancelled or ignored, but we can't cancel it, so we do evade the Shadow Hound. Now I'm going to try to evade the Screeching Banshee, and to give me the best chance at being able to evade it, I am going to use Jacqueline's ability. Because I want to be able to get scribbling on the board with this turn so I can start dealing with these guys. There's 3. Okay. So first token up we find a skull, which is probably getting canceled if I can spare it. A 0, and a -1, so we can cancel the... So the skull would actually be a -3 because our location's haunted. So we'll cancel the skull and the -1, which means the Banshee's evaded as well. And then action 3, just like I wanted, we'll set up for next turn. Not the way I wanted to, but we will get to play out... Where is it? Oh, it's down here, because I wanted to play it. Shriveling level 5. Will and 2 combat icons on commit. Uses 4 charges. As an action, spend a charge to fight. Uses will instead of combat, plus 3 combat and plus 2 damage for the attack. But if we pull a bad symbol, we take 2 horror. So I'll get the 4 charges out for that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we should be able to start dealing with those enemies pretty easily. And then Mandy's turn will start off in her play area. Before Mandy starts her turn, she'll exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a skill. She will draw another Opportunist, which we'll probably be using immediately. Actually, we will be using that immediately for action 1. We'll be committing it to an evade test to go up 2. Skull is -3, which fails, because our location is haunted. Action 2 will run that back. This time we're only up 1. Elder Thing is a -2, and there is not a spectral enemy at her location, but she does fail. Action 3... Given that Jacqueline needs help pretty badly, getting her over there to take one of those spectral enemies off of Jacqueline would not be a terrible idea. So, I don't like the idea of taking an attack of opportunity, though, so we're just going to try to evade it again up 1. Another -3, so Mandy wastes her turn trying to get away from your worst nightmare. Fantastic. Just what I love to see. That will do it for Mandy, that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we're going to send the spectral enemy after Joseph. Then he's going to take 1 damage. And Mandy's going to take 2 horror, which I will have Mandy take herself. So that will do it for the enemy phase. We'll start re-readying everything here. Unfortunately, both of those ready? Yeah. So after the hunter, enemies move. Each ready spectral enemy. Okay, so the Banshee and the Shadowhound were not ready. So Jacqueline ends up taking both of those. Nathaniel Rhodes is clear. Anyway, that will do it for the enemy phase, so let's move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 9. Jacqueline will draw an Arcane Initiate, 0 cost to play. Will and combat on commit. Forced. After Arcane Initiate enters play, place 1 Doom or 2 Horror on it. As an action, a fast action, exhaust Arcane Initiate to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a spell and draw it. Shuffle your deck. Mandy draws Mob Enforcer. Fantastic. Prey Bearer Only Hunter. As an action, spend 4 resources to parlay. Discard Mob Hunter. You know you shouldn't have borrowed money from the O'Banion gang. It seems like they're always looking to collect at the worst times. with a damage on attack. So yeah, we're kind of dealing with our lives as Spectre enemies, and this guy decides to come out after us. But anyway, Mythos Phase, first doom on the new agenda. Jacqueline draws. Watcher's Grasp. Heal 3 damage from the Spectral Watcher. Ready the Spectral Watcher. It moves, engages, and attacks as if it were the enemy phase. Throughout the resolution of this attack, the Spectral Watcher gains Pray You. So he moves to the entry hall, but he doesn't go engage Jacqueline because Jacqueline's at the Victorian Halls. Mandy draws. Unavoidable Demise. Revelation, test agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you succeed, put it into play next to the agenda deck. While Unavoidable Deck is next to the agenda deck, each other copy of Unavoidable Demise gets +1 difficulty and deals +1 damage if the test is failed. So right now we're up 1, and I used my agility trying to get away from your worst nightmare last turn, so we're up 1. Skull is -3, so Mandy takes 2 damage. And then we put that next to the agenda deck, so great. Alright, so we're back into the investigation phase now, and I think Jacqueline needs to start machine gunning these specters down. So let's move down to her play area. We can send the Spectral Watcher right back after Joseph next turn, and we probably will, so I'm not too worried about that. Action 1 will start off with a Screeching Banshee. And am I going to use her ability? We're up 6, so I'm probably... I do have to remember, though, that I take 2 horror if I reveal a bad symbol. So it might be worth using her ability. I think we'll be fine. Actually, yeah, up 6. None of them would fail us, so yeah, I think we're fine. Up 6. Elder Sign, which as you saw is +0, so Toodaloo to the Screeching Banshee because we do 3 damage. Action 2 will machine gun down the Shadow Hound. This time we're up 7, trying to do 3 damage. This time I am going to use Jacqueline's ability, just because I don't want to miss and take unnecessary. I don't want to miss or take unnecessary horror. One, two, 3. Okay. First up we find a tentacle, which I will probably cancel if I can afford it. We're up 7, though, so this has to be a pretty impressive combination to fail us. Which is 0 is not, and another 0, so we can cancel the tentacle and make the Shadow Hound go Toodaloo. And then for action 3, I think we will go ahead and play out the Arcane Initiate. We looked at her when we drew her, so I'll put her over here. We'll put 2 horror on her. And then in a fast action window, before we leave Jacqueline's turn, I'll get an exhaustion token, and we'll draw 3 cards looking for a spell. So first up we find Rite of Seeking, which is a spell, but I'm not sure how. Well, I could be excited about it for the clue potential later. Second up, an Enchanted Bow. Ooh, I might want this. And Internal Injury, which I definitely don't want. So I guess the question here is, do I want the Enchanted Bow Or do I want Rite of Seeking? Because, well, I've already got an Investigate spell in my hand. So, I think we do need clues. I do need to keep that in mind, though. I think I am going to take the Enchanted Bow. We'll look at that more when I go to play it, but that might be a little while on that front, but okay, so that will do it for that was Internal Injury, which I also was shuffling away. Almost forgot about Internal Injury. Alright, so that's it for Jacqueline's turn. Now let's move over to Mandy. Action 1 for Mandy will be spending 4 resources to get rid of the Mob Enforcer. Fortunately, Parlay does not trigger an attack of opportunity. Action 2 will try to evade your worst nightmare. A +1 gets us away from your worst nightmare, thankfully. And then Action 3 will take us over to the map. Action 3, Mandy will go meet up with Jacqueline in the Victorian Hall. So that will do it for the Investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Spectral Watcher moves back into the wine cellar and hits Joseph Miger for another damage. And then I think he's the only hunter enemy in play that's ready, so your worst nightmare wakes up. Jacqueline and Mandy also wake up. And then we'll move back up top, after we get those out of the way, for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes back to 6. Jacqueline draws. Internal Injury, which we were just shuffling away. At the end of your turn, take 1 direct damage, 2 actions to discard it. Mandy draws. Burning the Midnight Oil. Investigate, gaining 2 resources, and I did play 1 earlier, but I forgot to mention the flavor text. You'll sleep when you're dead. Anyway, that will do it for the investigation, or for the Upkeep phase. Mythos phase, Doom goes up to 2 on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Mysteries of the Lodge. Revelation, place 1 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Then, until the end of the round, increase the difficulty to fight, evade, or parley with that enemy by 2. If no Doom is placed by this effect, Mysteries of the Lodge gains Surge. So we place a Doom on Senator Rhodes. And then Mandy draws. Fate of All Fools. Omen Spectral. If there is no other copy of Fate of All Fools in play, put it into play in your threat area. Otherwise, an investigator with another copy of Fate of All Fools in their threat area draws the top card of the encounter deck. That card gains Peril, its effects can't be cancelled, and cards can't be committed to skill tests while resolving that revelation effect. Oh joy. Alright, so I'll put that up on Senator Rhodes. Just so I know that, okay, I can't commit, or I can't... So his parlay is increased by 2 this round. Anyway... that will do it for the... Before we leave the Mythos phase, we're going to exhaust both abilities. So we're going to exhaust both the Arcane Initiate and Ancestral Knowledge. So we'll draw Ancestral Knowledge first to give me a little bit of time to think about what I want to do with the Arcane Initiate, because I have Mandy's ability active. So the last card under Spectral Knowledge, or under Ancestral Knowledge, God, I got too much Spectral on the brain. Eureka! If the skill test is successful, the investigator performing this test searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles their deck. So I'm also exhausting the Arcane Initiate. The question is there anything in particular I'm looking for right now? I've got Investigate, I've got Combat, I've got Twilla. I think I pretty much have everything I need right now, so I don't really need to go any extra deep. So I'll just go 3 deep and take 1. So remember, I'm looking for a spell. Card 1, Dark Future, that can F right off. Card 2, another Enchanted Bow, which is an eligible target. And card 3, Drawn to the Flame. Well, looks like I'm taking the another Enchanted Bow. Okay. Which, remember, that the Enchanted Bow is a spell, so I can take it with the Arcane Initiate. But anyway, that will do it for the Mythos Phase. Investigation Phase now. And... Now we need to start getting some of these clues action. Now we need to start going through locations and trying to get some of these clues. So, I think we will start off with Jacqueline, but we'll start in her play area. So I kind of played a little bit of the long game with the ally Jacqueline went to get from the Lover's 6, and here's where it pays off. So for 3 resources, at long last, Jacqueline will play Twilla Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream, Lore and Agility on Commit. Reaction, after you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twilla Catherine Price, place 1 charge on that asset. Sometimes, this world, I wish I never came back. Sometimes I wish I never came back too, but minor details on that. Then action 2 will take us over to the map. Alright, so action 2, Jacqueline's going to move over to the trophy room. And we'll take a look at the spectral effect on this card. Flanking this door are 2 rotting deer heads mounted on the wall. They stare at you with hollow, dead eyes. And then we reveal into Shroud of 2 clues. Haunted, lose 2 resources. For each resource that you can't lose from this effect, take 1 horror. Rotting animal heads adorn this room's wood-paneled walls, once a display of power and sovereignty, now macabre displays of death and decay. You can't help but feel their empty eyes drill through you as you explore the room. Let's hope that that is not an omen. So as soon as I finish reading a clap of thunder, and I'm hoping that's not an omen for the way the rest of this scenario is going to go. So action 1 was Twilla. Action 2 was to move. Action 3... Unfortunately, I can't discard Internal Injury as much as I would love to right now. I think action 3 will just be to take a resource. Start setting up for next turn. So we do have to take a direct damage from the Internal Injury, but I've got some time before I need to discard it. So anyway, that would do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's action 1, she'll come over and join Jacqueline in the trophy room. And then action 2, she'll investigate up 4. We'll actually use Burning the Midnight Oil to initiate the investigate to give her 2 more resources. And I'll commit Eureka to put her up. Actually, this is probably a waste here, so yeah, we're not going to commit Eureka just yet. So we're up 5, 6, we're up 4. We're up 4 trying to get the 1 clue. A 0 gets her a clue and a resource from Milan, so that'll bring her up to 9. Then action 3, we'll run the investigate back. Still up 4. skull is -3 if your location's haunted, which it's haunted, but -3 isn't enough to fail Mandy. So we'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, your worst nightmare moves, and then it doesn't do damage to each ready spectral enemy. So Joseph Miger is defeated, but your worst nightmare is not a spectral enemy, which doesn't cause us problems here. Joseph Miger lands in the victory display because he had victory 0 on him. But anyway, now we'll go ahead and ready everything here. And take those off. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 10. Jacqueline will draw. Drawn to the Flame, which could be very helpful. Draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at your location, and I've got to check Jacqueline's hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I do have to discard. I'm going to discard 1 of her copies of Enchanted Bow, actually. And then Mandy draws. Strange Solution, Acidic Ichor. Ooh. Once again, this is 2 combat on commit. Researched uses 3 supplies. As an action, spend 1 supply to fight with a base combat of 6, dealing +2 damage. Unfortunately, she can't use that on your worst nightmare because the bearer can't attack, damage, or defeat it. But anyway, Mythos Phase, Doom goes up to 3. Jacqueline draws. Unstable Energies. Revelation attached to your location. Forced. When you leave attached location, resolve each haunted ability on it. And at the end of the round, if there are no investigators at attached location, discard Unstable Energies. So we're going to have to lose resources from that. Mandy draws. Keeper of Secrets. Spawn at 4/2/3. Spawn at any empty location. Aloof and retaliate. Forced. When the Mythos phase ends, place 1 Doom on Keeper of Secrets. As an action, Parlay. Test Lore 3. If you succeed, remove all Doom from Keeper of Secrets. Right. So we're going to have to... Right, so when the Mythos phase ends, which is now, we'll place a Doom on the Keeper of Secrets. And then I'll exhaust the Arcane Initiate. So Jacqueline is going to draw 3 cards looking for a spell. So first up, we find another Drawn to the Flame, which would be welcome, but I can't take it. Then another Shriveling, which might be what we need, and Occult Theory, which would be, I would love to have, but I can't take it. So the only card I can take there is Shriveling. Which means we've got combat for days, basically. Which we're probably going to need, especially now that the Spectral Watcher is going to start moving a little bit closer to the fray. Alright, and Mysteries of the Lodge is also gone, so we can actually parlay with Nathaniel this round. But I'm getting a little bit, well, I'm not getting that far ahead of myself. Right, so yeah, I think Jacqueline will go first, and her turn will take us over. That's in her hand. And her turn will take us over to the map. Action 1 for Jacqueline. She'll move into the Victorian Halls, engaging your worst nightmare. Action 2, she'll use a charge of Shriveling on that, except exhausting Twila says, no we won't. And I will use her special ability because I don't want to take unnecessary, again, I don't want to take unnecessary horror if I can avoid it. So, We are 6, 9, we're up 7. And we're pulling 3 tokens. It seems like 3. Okay. First token up we find a 0, which I can probably afford to keep. Remember, I'm up 7, so I gotta pull a doozy to fail this test. -1 and a tentacle. Well, snap canceling the tentacle. Your worst nightmare goes bye-bye. And then action 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. Action 3. What do we do for action 3? The Spectral Watcher isn't joining us for another turn, so I think we just play out a... I think we just play out her Crystal Pendulum, actually. To give her +1 will, and after a skill test at my location begins, I can exhaust it to name a number. If the test succeeds by that number or fails by that number, I draw a card. So now her base will is 7. But at the end of her turn, Jacqueline does take another direct damage from internal injury. Anyway, that will do it. And I should have lost... Actually, hold on. Back up. So I forgot to resolve the Haunted ability on the trophy room, which means Jacqueline didn't have those 2 resources. So she actually has a third action left. For her third action, do I just parlay? I think I just parlay with Senator Rhodes. And we'll commit, that's a 10, will 2, I'm up 4. I'm not going to worry about that. Elder thing is -2 if there's a spectral enemy at your location, take 1 damage, except there's no spectral enemy there. So, how concerned are we about the Doom threshold right now? I am not particularly concerned right now because we have 3 Doom on the agenda plus 2 on the +2 out in play. So we're at 5 right now, going to 6. So I'm actually going to take one of the clues off of Senator Rhodes. Mainly because I want to try to get out of here as fast as I can. But anyway, getting ahead of myself there. Now that will do it for Jacqueline. Now for Mandy, she'll move over to the billiards room, losing her 2 resources, going down to 8. And then we'll take a look at the billiards room. Here we find... From outside this room, you can hear the creaking of old wood and the patter of soft footsteps along the ground. So here we find Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Haunted, you must either discard an asset you control or take 1 damage. The game room's warmth and laughter have been replaced with a sense of quiet dread. Tendrils of black mist slither from underneath the collapsed billiard table, twisting and swaying along the floor in a formless dance. So we'll get the 2 clues for that. So that's Mandy's action 1. Action 2 will be to investigate. She's up 3. And I will commit... Actually, better. Action 2... Actually, for action 2... Do I want to investigate, or do I want to get this acidic ichor into play? I guess the question here is, how likely do I think I'm going to be to need it to get out? I can always play that later. So I think action 2 will instead be to play the Dream Diary out. So once again, we'll go through this real quick. As an action, I search my bonded cards for Essence of the Dream and add it to my hand. And as a reaction, after I succeed by 3 or more during a skill test where Essence of the Dream was committed, I record in my dreams in my campaign log that I've interpreted the dreams. Then action 3 will be to investigate. We're up 3. Elder Thing, once again, -2 if there's a spectral enemy, yada yada yada. So we get the clue off the location, we're up to 6. So anyway, that will do it for Mandy, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the only relevant enemy right now is the Spectral Watcher, so he moves to the entry hall. Anyway, we'll go ahead and start re-readying everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 1. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 9. Jacqueline draws. Drawn to the Flame, which we have another one in hand. So, let me look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have to discard 2 cards. We'll toss Clairvoyance, and actually we'll toss... If we play our cards right, we can probably advance the agenda this round. We are at 6 clues. Mandy's probably getting that one. Jacqueline can probably parlay that. Yeah, I think we can probably advance the agenda this round. So, I'm actually going to toss my copies of Drawn to the Flame, since I don't think I'm going to need those at this point. Right now, I think with these two, I'm just on the Gitfo plan. And then Mandy, I don't think drew yet. She did not. So Mandy draws. You handle this one. Fast. Play after you draw a non-peril encounter card, but before resolving that card's effects. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn that encounter card instead and gain a resource. So before we go into the Mythos phase, I need to change my battery. We're back for the Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda goes up to 4, but we're at 6 in play. Jacqueline draws. I forgot to unexhaust her investigator ability. So Jacqueline draws. Bloodthirsty Spirits. Put it into play in your threat area. While your location is haunted, as an additional cost for you to commit 1 or more cards to a skill test, you must resolve each haunted ability on your location. Forced at the end of your location, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Bloodthirsty Spirits. And then Mandy draws. Lodge Neophyte, which goes to an empty location. Aloof. 3/1/2. Forced after enters play, place 1 Doom on it. Parlay, test Will 2. If you succeed, remove all Doom from Lodge Neophyte. So he gets a Doom, and the Keeper of Secrets gets a Doom as well. Alright, so at the end of the Mythos phase, I forgot to unexhaust Twila and Arcane Initiate. The Arcane Initiate is going to stay exhausted. Do I need a spell right now? I don't think so. Not if we're planning on going on the Gitfo plan. So right now we're at 8 Doom, which I can probably take a hit from the Spectral Watcher if I have to, but anyway, let's start this turn with Mandy, and we'll start it in her play area. Unstable energies should also have been discarded at the end of the round. The question is, the question with Mandy right now is, do I try for interpreting the dreams, or do I want to just work on getting us out of here as fast as I can? We're at 8 Doom right now. I think we're advancing next turn. Yeah, I think... Let's see, 9... Actually, we're not advancing, barring anything catastrophic. So I think we actually do have time. So for action 1, I will have Mandy search her bonded cards for Essence of the Dream, which I'm immediately going to be committing to her action 2, but we'll take a quick look at it. There should be the third copy is under her card right now. Never mind. So we'll take a look at the Essence of the Dream, which will be getting committed to this next test. It's a 2 wildcard commit, and when it would go to your discard pile or be shuffled into your deck, instead set it aside out of play with your bonded cards. So action 2, 6, 7, 8, so she's up 5, and I have to succeed by, what is it? 3 or more. +1 looks like a 3 or more. So we get the clue. That goes back under her bonded cards. And then action 3 will take us over to the map. Action 3 will bring Mandy over to the trophy room, and then that will do it for Mandy's turn. Jacqueline is going to action 1 parley with Senator Rhodes. She's up 4. Tentacle touch, so we either take 1 or 1. I'll take a horror and put it on Twilla. Action 2, we'll run that back. This time I'll exhaust her ability. I'll exhaust her special ability. One, two, three. Okay. Actually, let's do this. So, token 1, -1, which we can deal with. Token 2, -3, which will probably need to get canceled, but we do have... We are up 4, so we've got... So if this is a tentacle, we still pass, but we find... Elder Thing, which also can get canceled. So we'll keep the -1. We'll pass and we'll take the... I think we'll take the clue, which we can then use to advance the act. So we'll spend 8 clues. And we'll go ahead and advance the act. A way out. You find the corpse of one of the others trapped here. A member of the Silver Twilight Lodge, you surmise, although his outfit of blue and silver robes suggests something more esoteric. Gripped tightly in his withered hands is a small tome bearing the insignia of the lodge. Browsing through its pages, you are surprised to find all manner of information regarding the mist and the creatures you have encountered, including a spell to release the bonds of death and escape the mist. How long has this man been here, studying this realm? Regardless, at least you have a way out now. The mist blocking your escape recedes. Reveal the entry hall. Shuffle the discard pile into the deck. So we'll shuffle the discard pile into the deck first. And then we'll take a look at the revealed entry hall. The entry hall is blocked by a wall of spectral mist. You cannot enter the entry hall. Silver Twilight enemies cannot spawn in the entry hall. A wall of dark mist blocks your escape, decaying everything it touches. Ghostly hands grasp at you from the mist, desperately trying to pull you in. You suspect that if you tried to cross through the mist, you wouldn't emerge alive. But we get to reveal this to find... Shroud of 3, no clues. As an action, resign. You tear through the front doors of the manor, escaping the spectral realm and leaving the remainder of the survivors to their fate. The dark mist begins to recede, and the entry hall to Joseph's manor is slowly restored to its original state as the mist dissipates. Okay, and then we have Act 3A. Escape the cage. Now that the mist has receded, you might be able to escape with your lives, but what about Joseph Miger and the other lodge members left behind? Should you stay to make sure they escape, or flee while you have the chance? Forced, at the end of the round, each Silver Twilight enemy in the entry hall escapes. Place them beneath the entry hall, out of play. Move each ready Silver Twilight enemy with the word aloof, with the aloof keyword once toward the entry hall. Objective: if each undefeated investigator has resigned, advance. Okay, so let's see, we have one more action left. So I think that action will be I think we'll just take a resource. So anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Spectral Watcher moves and engages Jacqueline. And each ready spectral enemy deals its damage to each humanoid enemy at its location. So the spectral enemy will do 1 damage to Senator Rhodes, and also 1 and 1. Actually, at the end of her turn, Jacqueline should have taken a direct damage. We'll take another damage from the Watcher, and we'll put the horror on... do we really need the... Actually, end of her turn, Jacqueline should have tested... While I think about where I want to put the horror, I can probably just eat it on Jacqueline, which I will. I need to test her bloodthirsty spirits. She's up 3. Tentacle touch, so she takes another horror, and Bloodthirsty Spirit stays in play, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. But anyway, we'll go ahead and re-ready everything. And then we're actually going to do Upkeep Phase right here, just because of the end of round. So, go ahead and finish readying everything. So Jacqueline gains a resource and goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 10. Jacqueline draws... Word of Command, 2 costs to play. We saw this earlier when we went to get her shriveling, but we didn't go through the flavor text then either. Light for the saving of our eyes, heat for the saving of our skin, a spark for the saving of our souls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll discard the Chthonian Stone because I'm probably not going to need it. Mandy draws... Amnesia. Choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand on Revelation. Wait, where am I? What was I doing? I don't think that's really going to matter here. But we'll toss the Strange Solution, just in case I end up... We'll keep the Strange Solution just because in case I end up needing that. Then end of round. Senator Rhodes moves to the entry hall. Come on. Lodge Neophyte moves to the Victorian Hall. Keeper of Secrets moves to the trophy room outside in front of Mandy. So, I think we've got all that straight. So now let's move back up top for the Mythos phase. If this Mythos phase ends up being too catastrophic, and possibly anyway, our next round could probably end up being Toodaloo. But anyway, let's see what happens first. So Doom goes up to 5 on the agenda, but we're at 9 in play. Jacqueline draws. A Shadow Hound, 2/3/1. Hunter Retaliate. After attacks, resolve each haunted ability on your location. The Spectral Mist coalesces, yada yada yada. We saw this earlier. Mandy draws. Supernatural Tempest. Action Revelation Test Agility 5. If you fail, choose and discard cards from your play area and or hand with a total printed resource cost of X, where X is the amount you failed by. So we're down 2. We're down 2 on that. So I think we'll just test down 2. A 0, so we fail by 2, which means we can discard the Dream Diary because that's already done its job. So that could have been a lot worse, but I forgot to record from Interpreted Dream. Okay, so my plan changed just a little bit. I'm actually going to leave the Arcane Initiate exhausted, though, because I do want to see if I can find a Storm of Spirits. Unfortunately, Jacqueline and Mandy are not together, so I can't use Mandy's search ability. I could really use a Storm of Spirits, though, to try to take out these 2 enemies before I go to get out. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. First up, Clairvoyance, which I don't want. Second up, Emergency Cash, which would be welcome, but I can't take it. And Spectral Razor. This is interesting too, actually. So I fight plus will. Immediately after before this attack, I may engage the attacked enemy. This attack deals +1 damage, +2 instead if the enemy is non-elite. So that's actually tempting, and I am going to take the Spectral Razor. I was hoping for a Storm of Spirits, but like I said, I won't complain about the Spectral Razor either. But I think I only have to kill... Okay, so at the end of the Mythos phase, actually, the Keeper of Secrets should end up with another Doom on him, right? Yes. So now that the Mythos phase is basically over. Okay, so do I stick to the plan of get out of here? Jacqueline's actually pretty close to biting it on physical, although I've got a couple allies I can throw in front of that if I need to. But anyway, I think our first investigator in this new round will be... what are we going to do with this? Well, Jacqueline, I think, needs to kill that Shadow Hound in order to be able to escape. So I think she'll be first, and we'll start in her play area. Our situation right now is pretty simple with Jacqueline. If Jacqueline kills the Spectral Hound, she can survive the attack of opportunity from the Spectral Watcher by putting it on one of her allies and still be able to get out. So, for action 1, she is going to use a charge of Shriveling, but she's going to exhaust Twilla to basically keep it on there. And then I'm going to use her special ability because I need this to hit, and preferably not take any unnecessary horror, since I know I'm already going to be taking 1 from the Spectral Watcher. So we're up 6, 9, we're up 7, trying to take that thing out in 1 second. And we've got Jacqueline's ability behind this as well. So let's make sure I got 1, 2, 3. Okay. First token up we find is a skull, which will be -3, but that's still not going to be enough to fail us. Token 2 There's an Elder thing, which is also not enough to fail us, and a 0. So I will cancel the Skull and the Elder thing. Most importantly, the Shadowhound is dead in one shot because we did +2 damage for the attack. And then action 2 will take us over to the map. So we are going to initiate a move action for action 2. But the Spectral Watcher will get to deal us an attack of opportunity, which I'll use to defeat the Arcane Initiate. So now Jacqueline is able to move down to the entry hall. And then for action 3, Jacqueline will resign from the scenario. Then since we're right here at the map, Mandy's turn will be similarly simple. Action 1 to the Victorian Halls. Action 2 to the entry hall, which would make friends with a Spectral Watcher. Except action 3 will be to resign. So each undefeated investigator has resigned, so we'll advance. Alive. For now. Coming to this place was a terrible mistake. You had hoped to uncover evidence pertaining to the disappearances at the estate, not become victims yourselves. As you tear through the entry hall and slam through the manor's heavy front doors, you vow to put as much distance between you and the Myger estate as you possibly can. Unfortunately, your plan is quickly derailed. R1. With that, let's move back up top for the scenario resolution. We're all set for resolution 1. Any background noise you hear that's not the rain is me cleaning up. So just bear that in mind.
Resolution 1. As soon as you emerge onto the patio, you are surrounded by grim men in trench coats. Several of them reach into their coat pockets, a warning not to do anything too hasty. Before any threats can be fulfilled, the silence is broken by an icy voice. Now, gentlemen, there is no need for that. The men withdraw to reveal an elderly man you recognize as Carl Sanford, the president of the Silver Twilight Lodge. Despite the dangerous situation, his expression is almost too casual. The complete lack of fear in his posture and his actions suggest confidence backed by substantial power. His bodyguards take several steps back, allowing you to speak with Mr. Sanford in private. In your campaign log, record the investigators escape the spectral realm. Each investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the Victory display. Proceed to Interlude 2, the price of progress.
We'll proceed to the price of progress in a second, but we got to make some notes in the log first. So escaped the spectral realm. We get Victory X for each card in the Victory display, which will be a total of 1. Because Jacqueline was in a little bit of peril, so I wanted to get her out before anything else went crazy. So, now we go to the price of progress, and once again, same warning about background noise applies.
Interlude 2, the price of progress. If at least one of the investigators has the Silver Twilight trait, proceed to the price of progress 1. Otherwise, skip to the price of progress 2.
Except neither of our investigators has the Silver Twilight trait, so we go to price of progress 2.
The price of progress 2. I regret that we must meet under such unfortunate circumstances, Mr. Sanford says offhandedly. You narrow your eyes. You suspect fortune had nothing to do with it. You ask him what will happen to those still trapped inside. Human progress requires sacrifice, he recites stoically. It is lamentable when that sacrifice is in blood, but the price in lamentation does not outweigh the yield of our labor. Proceed to the price of progress 3. The price of progress 2.
Oh, no.
That we must
I forgot I was on receipt 1 for my shower.
Price of progress 3. You didn't come here to listen to Mr. Sanford proselytize about sacrifice. You came here for answers. You demand an explanation, but the elderly man cuts you off with a scowl. Yes, you speak of the incident last week. That was the creature's first manifestation, and the arrival of the dark mist, which you encountered inside. He glances at the front door to the manor and clears his throat. The Lodge was not involved in the disappearances that occurred that night, he explains after a short pause. But we couldn't exactly go to the police and tell them a creature made of mist kidnapped 4 people in Mr. Meiger's household, could we? So we had to take matters into our own hands. We suspected that creature was drawn to the crowd, so we recreated the incident in order to understand what happened, to discern its motives. The decision to host another event at Mr. Meiger's estate so soon after the disappearances makes sense to you now. As much as you hate to admit it, there is some logic to the plan the Lodge put into action, although you don't particularly like being used as bait. Who knows how many innocent bystanders were put in mortal danger? Even if the goal was noble, was it worth the sacrifice? I hope you understand that our organization only seeks the betterment of humankind. There are harsh truths that lie beyond our 5 senses, Mr. Sanford says, his expression grim. If we are to survive and prosper, we must adapt. We must learn. We must understand. That is what our order seeks to achieve, a greater understanding of the world around us. A worthy pursuit, don't you agree? Check the Silver Twilight enemies in the Victory display and beneath the entry hall. If Joseph Meiger is in the Victory display, proceed to the Price of Progress 4.
Actually, he is in the Victory display, so I forgot about him being in the Victory display as well. So we do get 2 more experience, so we'll have a total of 3 experience. But I'm not going to go through anything else because Joseph Meiger is in the Victory display, so we go to the Price of Progress 4.
The Price of Progress 4. Before you can reply, one of Sanford's men emerges from the house behind you. He sheathes a long silver blade as he addresses Mr. Sanford. There is no sign of Joseph inside, sir. The man eyes you suspiciously, keeping his hand on the hilt of his sword. His posture reminds you of that of a knight, stoic and rigidly disciplined. I see, Sanford replies. He closes his eyes and takes a deep breath before continuing. A great loss for our order, but one we anticipated. Gather the Lodge's belongings from inside the estate, and I will deal with the consequences. The knight nods and heads back inside. Carl's cold blue eyes turn back toward you. As for you, I would ask you to leave this place at once. You have done enough harm as it is. Before you can protest, he commands the other men nearby to escort you off the premises, and you have little choice but to comply. In your campaign log, record Joseph disappeared into the mist. In your campaign log, record the investigators are enemies of the Lodge. The story continues in Scenario 3, The Secret Name. The Price of Progress...
That's enough out of you. So so Joseph disappeared into the mist, and we are enemies of the Lodge. Which I don't mind at all because I have never liked the Silver Twilight Lodge. Every time we interact with them, it seems to end badly for us. But anyway, as it mentioned in the resolution, the story continues in Scenario 3. The secret, in this case, will be Return to the Secret Name. But later this week, we're going to upgrade the decks with the 3 experience that we got. And then Sunday, we're actually going to take a small break from the main campaign to insert our first side story into the campaign on the channel. We're going to have Jacqueline and Mandy pay a visit to the Carnival of Horrors, but it's going to have a Circle Undone theme to it. You might be asking, Phoenix Night, how do you plan on doing that? You'll have to tune in next week to find out. Before I sign off from this video, though, I do want to provide a quick update on streaming on Twitch. As you might see if you've been following the channel regularly, I've been a little more active on the testing front since getting settled into my new apartment. I'm far enough along now that I'm getting a test stream ready for later tonight. I'm expecting this video to go up in plenty of time, so if you see this video in time, come join me at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time later tonight for my first test stream on Twitch. I'm going to be playing my existing game of Front Mission 3, but I'm mostly focused on the technical testing to make sure my system can handle everything, and I'll provide a link to my Twitch channel in the description down below in addition to everything else. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.